Welcome back. So 60 municipalities are dysfunctional, 43 of them need to be placed under administration. And it gets worse, 100 more are on the brink of dysfunctionality, meaning that 80% are facing serious challenges which will ultimately impact their ability to deliver services. This was revealed by Copter Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma during her budget vote in Parliament. Let's get some reaction now to this from South African Municipal Workers Union President Nelson Mokgotho. Nelson, good morning and thank you very much for your time. These figures are most certainly disturbing and clearly for some would speak of governance problems, but you maintain that these problems are predominantly because of the funding model. Talk to me about this.
No, thanks to the viewers of eNCA. Indeed, as some, we feel like the challenge is in relation to the funding model to municipalities, which is a matter that we raised a long time ago with the ministry. Immediately the minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma took office, we met her and then deputy minister raised a concern on how municipalities are being funded. What we think is a challenge is that the bigger municipalities are getting a bigger chunk of what comes from national department or the Ministry of Finance, and the poor municipalities, mostly which are in rural areas, are getting the lowest of this income, and this will create instability and imbalances, and it will continue. For example, if you want to look at the municipality like City of Johannesburg or City of Tshwane, and you then say because it's a bigger municipality with a number of population, in terms of what is to be allocated to that municipality, will be bigger than what is allocated to Mfuleni. It is given that the Mfuleni municipality will always fail to deliver services because the money that goes to the Mfuleni municipality will be going there in terms of the number of the population and the size of the municipality. Therefore, bigger municipalities will continue getting a bigger amount of money, yet they are able to collect or they have a revenue source. Those smaller municipalities can't do anything because the department gives them low amount of money and they can't have their own income. They will remain poor.
But surely that's a simplistic explanation, because you're saying that where we're seeing services is where there's more money pumped by Treasury into those municipalities. But we're finding that there are municipalities which get a lot of money, but they're still not delivering. And we're also finding that with the smaller municipalities, be it in the Northwest or anywhere else, there's also corruption. So can we really say it's a budgetary issue here alone, or we even have issues around incompetence? We also have issues of corruption in some of these municipalities where we cannot only confine it to just the budgetary constraints.
Our taking is the challenges in municipalities is not only the funding, but we are saying funding becomes the key. But correctly said, the element of corruption in the municipality, maladministration, also plays a significant role in terms of poor service delivery. We agree that there are municipalities that get money, but that the funds that are given to municipalities are not used towards service delivery. We agree that there are elements of corruption in many municipalities. Hence, we are saying where there is an element of corruption, the law agencies must come into the space, arrest those who are involved, regardless of the size, the type, and the name of the person who is involved. Because if municipalities are playing an important role of service delivery, but they are given budgets and the budget is not used for that service delivery because of corruption, then we are not going anywhere. We are therefore calling on everybody that is involved in corruption. We are therefore calling on community members to report these corrupt elements so that these people are arrested and people are able to get clean people who will be able to run the municipalities with experience and expertise to make it so that South Africa becomes a delivery service country, not what we are seeing with people looking at their pockets.
I want to delve deeper into what you propose could really be the solution here, but I also want to take you to perhaps practical examples. Rustenburg Municipality, they spent 480 million. This was shocking. We've had them on this show. The cars are dormant. They had a service provider purchase cars for them, but the cars have been sitting, gathering dust. We're talking about trucks here. We're talking about Metro Police officers' cars that could be utilized. There's nothing happening. All of these are sitting because there's some issues, legal issues around that contract, but it's 480 million later, where these cars and trucks that could have been used in service delivery are not being used. So what happens in that instance? Because municipalities such as those, when they hear this conversation, it dilutes everything and they assume that they can fall behind the whole concept of we're not given enough money. But even if their budget is so small, they purchased cars for 480 million and they're just sitting. So as a union, would you not feel that you're diluting the conversation and allowing for others to use such as an excuse, whereas there is corruption and embezzling of funds?
And then what we are saying should not be a ticket towards corrupt activities. If there is a wrongdoing in any municipality, that needs to be changed, because you can't allow a situation where cars are bought, contracts are not entered correctly, friends are appointed to run activities in the municipality, where the supply chain management policies are clear in terms of how to procure cars or property in the municipalities. We can't be used as a scapegoat in our statement when we say municipalities need to be given money. We are saying if they are given money, that money needs to be used for services. We can't allow a situation like what we are giving example with Rustenburg Municipality. In this regard, we will call on the municipal council to correct the situation. If the contract is not awarded correctly or there are contractual challenges, we will allow the necessary process to unfold. But as SAMU, we will not support any other activity that will take the money of the community and use it differently from what was intended to be used. You can't buy cars and park them. Communities do not need those cars, they need services. But if there are yellow machines that are used for communities, let them be, the contract be resolved so that communities can get what is due to them.
So just in closing, you're saying that with the funding model that you're requesting, it's that they must be funded equally to the other municipalities, the bigger ones, or there must just be a substantial increase.
What we are saying is when the funding is done to municipalities, what we think is that the smaller municipalities in rural areas need to be considered, because they are only existing or surviving on grants. You can't compare that municipality like Mafuve in Free State. They issue a letter that will not be paying workers. We can't be paying people that we are owing because they don't have income. What can we say? The municipalities that can't collect or do not have any revenue source are given a bigger chunk than those who are able to get their own source, so that when they give services to the people, these municipalities are able to go together on the same state. Because when you give Johannesburg or when you give any other municipality that is already bigger and able to have its own sources, you are saying the small ones must always die. That's why you will see staff will always want to go and work in the bigger municipalities, because that's where they know there will be money, whether for service delivery or for their own personal gain. So we are saying smaller municipalities need to be considered for a bigger amount of money on this allocation.
No, it's most certainly a very debatable conversation, and one that should be had, because we are seeing a lot of migration where people are leaving then those rural communities, those smaller municipalities, to come to the city, and then they've got their own problems there insofar as housing arrangements. But most certainly a very interesting conversation to be had. Thank you very much, Nelson. That is South African Municipal Workers Union President Nelson Mokgotho.